GutPunched, Alzheimer's, and Caregivers. Navigating the insidious illness of Alzheimer's is something nobody asks for. The disease sneaks up on you and your loved one, and it feels like you've been sucker punched in the gut. Then you ask, where do we turn for help? Who do we call? What do we do? These questions and more are what we hope to answer and give you some direction and hope. Now let's join our host, Jeff Edwards.
Greetings and welcome. This is GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers, episode 44, or have they found the single factor that could cause Alzheimer's? Boy, this month is just racing by. Wow. March is ready to march right in. The Northeast and Middle America are being frozen. Upstate New York is having record snowfall. Reminds me of 1972 to 1973. Way back. Snow to the right of me, snow to the left of me, snow all over the place. Hello, Florida. Hey, today we'll be looking into scientists discovering a potential new Alzheimer's cause. And we'll take a pretty detailed look at the early middle stage of dementia based on the Allen levels 4.5 to 4.0. Problems and impairment increase. Our GutPunched Alzheimer's and Caregiver rules play a major role in your journey. You have to take care of yourself because if something happens to you, who's going to take care of your loved one? And you can't do it alone. You need help. Find good caregiver groups or network with friends or relatives. And make a list of people or friends, relatives, coworkers who have offered to help you in time of need. And then make a list of things you need done but can't do yourself because caregiving duties are overwhelming. Use the lists, start at the top, and keep going till you get what you need done. You'll find it very helpful. Okay, here we go. I had somebody send me this really interesting article from Women's Health written by Corinne Miller, and it was done recently, February 12th of this year. It's called Scientists Just Discovered a Potential New Alzheimer's Cause. The exact cause of Alzheimer's disease has long evaded scientists, but experts typically suggest there are likely several factors, like genetics, environment, and lifestyle, that contribute to its development. We already know that getting good sleep, exercise, and a heart-healthy diet and regular socialization can lower your risk for the disease. But no one has yet been able to pinpoint why some develop the devastating condition while others don't. Now, new research published in the journal Alzheimer's and Dementia suggests that there could actually be a single, simple cause of Alzheimer's disease. This hypothesis is pretty radical, and it goes against what most experts in the field believe. But understanding the root cause or causes can help prevent, diagnose, and treat Alzheimer's in the future. Here's what one new scientific model suggests about Alzheimer's cause and what it means for us. Now, the experts in this case are Carol Husseby, PhD, is an assistant professor in Banner Neurodegenerative Disease Research Center at Arizona State University. Werner Porter, MD, is a neurologist and director of the Dementia, Alzheimer's Disease, and Neurocognitive Disorders at Pacific Neuroscience Institute at Providence St. John's Health Center in Santa Monica, California. What does the study say? The study analyzed existing research and data, including a 2022 study that found most biological pathways can be linked to Alzheimer's disease and proposed that stress granules may be the reason Alzheimer's disease develops in some people and not others. Specifically, the researchers explored how the presence of these stress granules disrupt molecular movement between cells' nucleus, the center part of the cell that contains genetic material, and its cytoplasm, and that's the jelly-like substance that surrounds the nucleus where important chemical processes occur. The disruptions mess with a slew of essential biological processes, including cell survival and metabolism and gene expression, the researchers theorized. The changes in gene expression then led to some of the key markers seen in Alzheimer's patients, tau protein tangles, and inflammation. It's important to point out that this hypothesis is based on a scientific model using available data, not something that has been tested and proven. Well, what are stress granules and how are they connected to Alzheimer's? As the paper explains, stress granules are basically clumps of proteins and RNA, a nucleic acid in cells with similar structures to DNA, that form when a cell is under stress. These clumps form temporarily in the cell in response to stress in the environment. They help the cell press pause on normal functioning until it recovers. Under normal circumstances, these stress granules actually serve an important purpose, helping protect the cell, then dissolving when the stressful event is over. But in people with Alzheimer's disease, the granules don't dissolve, which keeps essential molecules from moving in and out of the cell's nucleus as they normally would, explains study co-author Carol Husby, PhD. If stress is chronic, the cell's normal business is affected, such as making new molecules, transporting molecules, and recycling of molecules, she says. That can eventually harm the cell and could lead to the progression of Alzheimer's disease. Now, it's important to note that the scientists are talking about biological stress here, not psychological. The stress causing these granules in the biology is different from emotional stress, says Michael Schneider-Beery, a PhD. Biological stress refers to the various challenges to the cell. Emotional stress, while it can have physical effects, is a psychological experience, while both types of stress can impact health. They operate through very different mechanisms at the cellular level. Now, what kinds of stress factors result in these granules? Well, there are a lot of potential stressors that cause these granules to form, including exposure to toxins, traumatic brain injury, viruses, oxidative stress, and genetic mutations, Husby says. Getting sick or being exposed to things like pollution and pesticides can also put stress on your body and your cells. Now, can stress really cause Alzheimer's? While this study suggests there could be a link between cell stress and Alzheimer's, there is also an established link between psychological stress and the disease. Chronic stress increases cortisol levels, which can shrink the hippocampus, said Werner Porter, MD. The hippocampus is involved in learning and memory. Having anxiety and depression is also linked with a higher risk of dementia, she points out. Overall, all indications point to cell stress as occurring early in the disease, Husby says. The key to understanding Alzheimer's disease is to understand when the disease is first detected before too many neurons are lost, she continues. This information will lead to the most effective early treatments for Alzheimer's disease. So how can I lower my risk for Alzheimer's? There's a lot experts still don't know why some people end up developing Alzheimer's disease, and this study is just one hypothesis. But taking these steps may help lower your risk, according to the Alzheimer's Association. Exercise regularly, quit smoking or don't pick up the habit, manage high blood pressure and diabetes, eat a heart-healthy diet, try to maintain a healthy weight, stay socially connected, and stimulate your brain with new activities and challenges. Doing what you can to manage stress levels, like practicing mindfulness, meditating, or doing relaxing hobbies, may also help, Dr. Porter says. Pretty interesting. Now, this article was just a bit different from what we normally do because it's a little bit more scientific. Try to keep it on a different level, but I just thought it might be interesting to see how another way scientists can look at this, and you never know what can come from it.
We'll be right back to GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
Repeat after me. Apple, table, penny.
Apple, red.
When you tell people he has Alzheimer's, but he's in a clinical study, it's
not so hopeless.
Yeah.
Maybe. You know, it's like, I hope we can just hang in there and maybe they'll find something, you know.
Ask me again.
What season is it?
It's when all the leaves down and
I know it's there, but I can't get it.
And it just kills me.
I remember watching Dad interact with the kids and thinking, geez, in 5, 6 years, will he even know who they are? 1 in 10 Americans over 65 has Alzheimer's disease. Learn more today at brightfocus.org.
This is GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
A few episodes ago, we talked about early stage dementia, the Allen level 5.0. Signs begin to show. And this time, we're going to talk about early middle stage dementia, the Allen levels 4.5 to 4.0. Problems and impairment increase. In early middle stage of the disease, caregivers see that the problems are apparent. People have clear difficulties doing things, although some independent activities continue. They lose track of what they start to do. They get distracted easily, and they need help, even with regular tasks. As with all stages of the disease, the early middle stage extends over a long period of time, and the person's ability to do these things declines within the stage. Level 4.5, a time of increasing problems. Persons at this level still usually look good. They appear to be performing rather normally. However, the higher thinking powers, reasoning, abstraction, planning, etc., are more affected by the disease, so performance is more affected. The person is becoming less clear about the larger purpose of the action. Errors show up more regularly. Things aren't done as well or as smoothly. You may see that the people at this level look to caregivers for direction or help. They may do things hastily without considering results, and they may work in trial and error fashion, or they may just freeze, not knowing where to start or what to do. Distraction and frustration may occur, especially with tasks that are complicated. People usually still understand that their activities are directed toward a purpose or goal. However, they may not always be able to keep track of the exact goal. They may need to be reminded of the goal to help them proceed with the activity. With enough time and help, people at this level should be able to perform most daily tasks without difficulty. They should be able to manage most self-care activities and help with household tasks. Level 4.0, and this is where the impairments are more noticeable. As the disease moves further into the early middle stage, confusion and errors are now seen regularly. People can do little on their own, and their thinking powers are very weak. They need help with even routine daily activities like getting dressed. Now, this help often takes the form of prompting and reminding, but that means you're keeping tabs on the person. They have limited attention and may be easily distracted. Now, people at this level may keep a goal in mind, but usually only in activities that are simple and familiar. Difficulties in doing things become more pronounced. People may become more hasty or more hesitant. They will likely turn to caregivers more for help or direction. It may be that you will see more unpredictable behaviors. People might retreat, become sad, or lash out for reasons that are not immediately clear. Now, caregiving strategies for the early middle stage, observation and your experience with the person will guide your work with a person at this level. Here are some general caregiving strategies to continue when working with a person in the early middle stage of dementia. Establish routines. For a person at this stage of the disease, routines are a good means to promote contented involvement. Simple, well-structured tasks are most helpful. Now, the person won't strictly remember the tasks or steps from day to day. However, repetition may foster familiarity. This can provide a sense of safety, comfort, and control. If you can find a few activities the person enjoys, you can do them repeatedly. Start taking over. Simplify and organize tasks and activities. If you want the person to do something, set it up and tell the person exactly the steps you want him or her to do. Now, this frees the person from planning, but lets him or her be involved in the larger activity. Let the person make choices that won't confuse them, but don't involve the person in choices that will be confusing or distracting. Even as this stage progresses, the kinds of choices a person can make will change. They will be less able to make complicated choices. As the disease progresses, even at this stage, you may have to take full control. You will have to design each task and set up the items needed. Plan which parts you want the person to do. And then think about the setting. The person may become more easily distracted at this stage. Decide where you want the person to do this activity and remove as many distractions as possible. The environment should be as simple as possible. Put everything the person needs for the task nearby. Provide support. The person will need prompting. You might have to help the person start a task. It is very likely you will have to help the person stay on track. The person may need to be reassured while doing the task. Give directions that work. Adjust the way you direct the person to fit what works with them. At this stage, a combination of verbal and visual directions may prove effective. Verbal directions should be simple, short, and concrete. Simple written notes or labels may help early in this stage, but don't rely on them. The person may get them or not. It's worth a try. Eventually, written instructions will not work. Visual cues become more and more important as this stage progresses. Point to the things you want the person to focus on. Keep watch. Observation and as needed guidance are needed and will help. If you have to correct or redirect a person, try to do so in a way that is supportive and that does not call attention to the person's inability or mistakes. Or, if it's not important, let errors go. A person at this level is not likely to learn from errors. She or he might remember, but it's unlikely. It's more likely they'll just feel badly for being corrected. So let it go. At this level, you may be able to leave the person alone for a while, but it's important to check back regularly. Also, safety checks are important. The person's judgment is no longer strong. You'll have to watch carefully to be sure the person isn't using things or going places that could be dangerous. For example, by this stage, a person who used to walk to a nearby store should not be allowed to do so alone anymore. A person's ability to cross the street safely, to find his or her way back home, and to manage money are all compromised by now. Allow enough time. Be relaxed about performance. Try not to wedge too many activities into a day. It may be also useful to allow the person to rest or take a break from a task. And here's a good one. We've talked about this. The issue of driving. People at this level have very poor judgment and will respond poorly in a crisis. People should no longer be permitted to drive. If you cannot convince the person to stop driving, use all the help you can get. Inform your local Department of Motor Vehicles and or police department of the person's condition. Ask your physician to help get the person to stop. Bring in other members of the family and get their support and help in getting the person to stop driving. Make the car less accessible. Take away the keys. Disable the car. This is a serious situation. The person is at risk, but so are others who are on the road. And would like to thank the Alzheimer's Association for this great information that we have.
We'll be right back to Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
Alzheimer's and dementia bring many challenges, but you don't have to face them alone. The Dubin Center offers free services to support caregivers and families. With over 30 monthly support groups, workshops, online resources, and personalized one-on-one consultations, they provide education, connection, and guidance to help you navigate caregiving. At the Dubin Center, no one faces dementia alone. Visit DubinCenter.com today.
This is Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
Okie dokie, that's it for today. Hope you found it helpful. Next episode, we'll have an interview with either a musical journey for caregivers and their loved ones, or a top-notch home health care company. You'll just have to tune in and find out which we go with. You know, if you know someone who has a family member or friends who are dealing with a loved one who has Alzheimer's or any type of dementia, please share this podcast with them as we grow it to reach more caregivers and provide them with hope and direction. We would appreciate that very much. For more information, you can check out the Alzheimer's Support Network at alzsupport.org/about-us. The Dubin Center at dubincenter.com. And to find your local chapter of the Alzheimer's Association, you can visit alz.org/local resources/find your local chapter. They're very helpful. Dr. Perry's HealthSpan Partners website is healthspansouthwestflorida.com. And for more information on the guide, which Dr. Perry is part of, it's probably easier to just Google it, Edge it, or DuckDuckGo it. Our website is gutpunched.com, and the email address is gutpunchedac@outlook.com. Thanks for joining us, and please come back again. Help us grow and spread the information and resources by hitting the subscribe button. God bless.
This has been Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers, with your host, Jeff Edwards. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to us on all the platforms like Spotify, Apple, Pandora, and more. If you have a question or want to get in touch, our email is gutpunchedac@outlook.com.